Guess what, bro? Guess who's back? Harold Entinson. I don't even know if his government name is Harold, but here he is talking about Trump's tariffs. Long story short, everybody fucking hates them. I went grocery shopping today, and I had an actual interaction. I felt personally victimized by Trump's tariffs on this specific day, this one day in particular, because up until now, I had not noticed the prices of my culinary staples increasing much. Sweet potatoes they've been the same price for however long. Bananas have been the same price for however long, 60, 70 cents. Today, however, I went to the pasta aisle looking for the Checo pasta, my favorite pasta brand. And for all of you pasta heads out there, I'm not a pasta snob, but the Checo is the perfect place between bottom tier pasta and artisan pasta. I just simply cannot justify spending $7 on a pound of artisan pasta. And DeCecco, their quality is spectacular. Every week, I would spend $2.79 on one box of DeCecco pasta. And it had been that price since I started grocery shopping for myself a couple years ago. It might have started out at like $2.50 a box, but 20 cents isn't the end of the world. Do you know what the fuck I paid today for one box of the Checo pasta? $3.29. Do you know how I know that this is Trump's fault? Because a couple of weeks ago, there was a story that came out that said that Italy's biggest pasta exporter is facing a 107% cost to export their product, meaning that this pasta brand in particular, I think it was Barilla, I don't know, was considering no longer exporting pasta to the United States because they would not be able to make any money on it. And regardless of whether Trump's tariffs actually went in on pasta, DeCecco, the supermarket, whoever the fuck is responsible for that, is using the hysteria to jack up prices. Now, I, for one, I've been saying that this is going to happen regardless of me being personally affected by it. I've been screeching for 10 months about how tariffs are inherently inflationary, but now it's going to become an issue because once things that have been historically cheap start to get more expensive, you're going to see a lot of people be even more angry.
Biggest retailer to sue the Trump administration.
Also, CNN, what the fuck are we doing with this Kalshi prediction tracker? Oh, man.
An effort to preserve tariff refunds. We're waiting on a big Supreme Court decision, which may or may not declare many of the president's tariffs not legal. But what do the American people think now about the tariffs? One man has the answer. CNN chief data analyst Harry.
We're number one, and I'm one man.
All right. Talk to me about right now views of tariffs, broadly speaking.
Yeah, this is a topic on which the American people have shifted significantly, and they have shifted significantly against tariffs. I mean, this just gives you an indication. I mean, just look at this shift over the last year. When Donald Trump was elected back in November of 2024, 52% of Americans favored new tariffs on imported goods, 48% opposed. Look at this switcheroo now. By late October of 2025, the clear majority, 62%, opposed new tariffs. That favor number has absolutely plummeted down.
What I glean from this, yes, this 62% is striking, obviously, but only 52% favorability in November of 2024 means that implementing tariffs, especially in a reckless way, like how everyone knew Donald Trump was going to do it, was not a winning policy. Americans may not understand macroeconomics, but there are more people than you know that understand Tariffs 101. And that is that tariffs make things more expensive. If you put a tariff on dildos, dildos are going to become more expensive. It's universal. It doesn't matter. Tariff is a synonym for tax. Taxes on goods make them more expensive.
38% on the key policy that Donald Trump has been pushing since the beginning of this second term. The American people have shifted completely against the President of the United States.
That's just a complete reversal right there. How about Americans' approval of the president on the issue of tariffs?
Yeah, this issue is dragging Donald Trump down. Because why? What are we just looking at here? Trump's net approval rating on trade/tariffs. In January, it was okay, right? It was doing okay. It was -2 points. But in this political environment and the fact that polls oftentimes underestimate Donald Trump, this ain't too bad of a number. Look at where we are now. -24 points, a shift of 20 points away from the President of the United States. I was looking at data around this point in his first term. This is double digits worse, as well as he was at this point on trade and tariffs, as where he was in term number 1 at this point. The American people have moved against tariffs, and they have definitely moved against Donald Trump.
What I'm curious about for this poll specifically is, if you could see right here, the source is Enton's aggregate. I am a little interested about the makeups of this poll, whether it be the margin of error, whether it be the sample size. Regardless, though, that's fucking crazy. Even if it's not as exaggerated as this, a 12-point or 22-point decrease, pardon me, in anything over a president's first 11 months is unfucking heard of, especially somebody who was president once before. When a president is elected for a second time, there is typically a much lengthier honeymoon period. Even though Trump's terms were not back to back, he was still familiar. He's still a two-term president, so all of the historical trends would seemingly apply. And this dude has been on a downward trajectory like he just jumped out of a fucking plane. This guy is skydiving to the worst approval rating of any president ever if he's not already there. I sincerely believe now that if he, is not impeached, if he stays in office for all 4 years, he could very well be a single-digit approval president, I think. We are looking at a sub 15% approval rating, legitimately. I sincerely believe so, especially if the economy continues to tailspin at this rate.
It comes to tariffs.
What do people think the tariffs do, basically, to prices?
Yeah, well, the question is why? What's cooking? Why are the folks moving against Donald Trump? Why are they moving against tariffs? I mean, this just gives you an indication. Say tariffs effect on prices in the short term. Increase in March, 72%. 72% of Americans believed that tariffs raised prices in the short term in March. You come over to October, Donald Trump's been making the argument, and the American people ain't buying it, Johnny Berman, ain't buying it, 71%. It is awfully difficult when the number one issue in the country right now is inflation, is affordability, and folks believe that a signature policy of yours increases prices. That is no bueno. That is no good.
No bueno.
No wonder Americans are moving against tariffs
No bueno,
and moving
Poppy.
against Donald Trump on tariffs. As I said at the beginning, it is dragging him down.
And look, it's a tell when the administration cuts tariffs on coffee so that it will reduce coffee prices. It tells you what they think about that. All right. So one of the things the president has said is floated the idea maybe he'll give tariff income checks, stimulus checks based on the revenue from tariffs to the American people. Do American people, do they feel like these checks are coming?
Yeah, okay. So, one of the best ways we can look at this is the prediction markets, because they give you an indication of where people are putting their money, where they're...
Oh, did he? No, he shouted out Kalshi. I think I know where this is going. It's going to like 80% no, people think. 80% of people think they're not getting a tariff check.
Mouth is right. Do they think that the tariffs, that these rebate checks are actually coming?
Yep.
And at this point, no. No,
So,
I mean,
okay.
Trump tariff, the tariff stimulus checks are sent to Americans by August of 2026. It's a 25% chance. That's a 1 in 4. So that's
So
not
a 75% chance that it doesn't happen, which is close to what I was thinking. What's interesting to me about the tariff stimulus check is Republicans, like, they continue to bitch about the stimulus checks that Biden sent back in 2021 or whatever it was, claiming that that's the reason why we have so much inflation. That's the reason why the cost of goods are out of control. Why would these stimulus checks not be inflationary? The Republican thought is that any spending, any check given to a consumer is inflationary because the government is printing money that it doesn't have. That line of thinking is both fictional and false. It's fictional because the government is not printing money. These stimulus checks are not just, they don't just materialize out of thin air. But it's false because stimulus checks are not inflationary because the people who receive them are spending them in their local economies. They're using it to buy groceries. They're using it to treat themselves to a date, right? They're going out to see a fucking movie, or they're using it to get their child clothes. The government is then collecting tax revenue on this stimulus check. So it may increase inflation by a few percentage points, maybe, but ultimately, at the end of the day, these are less inflationary than bailing out Wall Street. It's going to be, these inflation checks would be less inflationary than when the government inevitably bails out all of big tech because they invested too heavily in AI. That is when real inflation is going to hit because Microsoft, OpenAI, Elon Musk's fucking companies, they're all going to get these massive checks and they're just going to use them to fucking buy stock buybacks and compensate their executives. Regardless, though, no one's getting a check from President Trump, dummy.
Nothing, but the American people right now are craving some relief. And at this point, it doesn't look like it is coming. Although I will note, John Berman, this 25%, it is greater than this 6% who say that tariffs decrease prices, or that 5% back in March, which are just, you never see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. So look, 25% ain't nothing, but at this point, it's low.
Yeah, it's interesting. The prediction markets think that only 1 in 4 chance that will actually happen there. Harry, great to see you. Thank you very much.
Costco is taking on President Trump over tariffs, but they're not alone. The retail giant is now the biggest company to sue the Trump administration for a refund if the Supreme Court declares the sweeping new tariffs illegal. Costco is joining other companies that have made some similar arguments, including Bumblebee Foods and Revlon. CNN's Matt Egan is joining me now. To be clear, most companies have not wanted to be seen by Trump, to be sort of going after him in any way. That many of them have kowtowed to him. So what are we seeing here?
Yeah, well,
This is massive. Enormous W by Costco. Shout out to Costco. Shout out to the Costco hot dog. Shout out to Costco for looking after their employees, for, you know, paying them fairly, for providing them adequate benefits. Just shout out to Costco. Costco is goated. But also shout out to Costco for not being a bunch of fucking pussies. The reason why these companies, you know, companies don't want to be seen by Trump or they want to be friends with Trump is because ultimately they're looking to protect their bottom lines, right? They ultimately will align themselves with the fascist government because that's capital always sides with fascism. It's just how history always plays out. But they also enable these actions by Trump, by aligning themselves with him, by not suing, by not speaking out, by not putting up a fight. The administration is like, oh, we're able to bully big business. If we can bully big business, we can bully small business, we can bully medium business. We could bully whoever the fuck we want if we're able to bully Google and Meta and, you know, Microsoft. But Costco is saying, listen, you're fucking up the vibes, dude. We're trying to provide these goods to our customers for the lowest price possible, and you're fucking that up because you're a big, greedy fucking loser.
You're right. Big business has been kind of tiptoeing around the Trump White House all year, right? CEOs of public companies, they've been very reluctant to battle a president who has not been shy about retaliating. Even when the president launches policies, they're going to hurt their bottom lines, right? The thinking has been, yes, tariffs might shrink their profits, but these CEOs also have mergers that they want the administration to bless, and they don't want to invite regulatory investigations. And so, yes, that's why this Costco lawsuit is so noteworthy. This really is the highest profile company to battle the president on tariffs. They're arguing in this lawsuit that the president exceeded his authority with tariffs. They want full refunds, and Costco did not hold back in this lawsuit, right? They argued that Congress really has to provide guardrails to a president to apply tariffs, right? And they say that the 1977 law that the president is relying on.
Well, why is Costco putting up more of a fight than the Democratic Party? We should just make the CEO of Costco the Senate Minority Leader. The CEO of Costco would be a more effective politician than Chuck Schumer. That's who I hope primaries Chuck Schumer, although I don't even know if he lives in New York. What a sad state of affairs when a wholesaler is a more effective political opponent than the actual fucking opposition party. Oh my God, we're omega fucked.
IEPA provides no such guardrails. And to make their point, they effectively said, if you don't believe us, just look at the mess that we're in. The lawsuit says the pell-mell manner, they point to the pell-mell manner by which these on-again, off-again IEPA duties have been threatened, modified, suspended, reimposed, and the market's gyrating in response. If that's not poking the bear, I don't know what is. But look, Sarah, Costco, they can read the room, right? Yeah. They know that even though the president loves tariffs, the public does not, right? Tariff approval has just plummeted. Last November, CBS News had a poll where only 48% of adults opposed new tariffs on imported goods. But look at this. As of October, 62% opposed. So the more the public sees of tariffs, the less they like them. And that means that Costco doesn't necessarily have to worry about alienating that much of their customer base. So now I'm just fascinated to see what happens next. Is the White House going to retaliate against Costco? Is this a one-off? Or did this lawsuit provide enough political cover to allow other companies to follow in Costco's footsteps? It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out.
Truly, and these are some of the companies.
Hopefully more companies do. Motherfuckers, like, dude, it's December. It's December. We're in the Christmas spirit. As you can see, we're in fucking December. We're coming up on 2026, marking 1 year of Trump 2. And here we are, still hoping that these big institutions that are supposed to operate against the fucking president, against a rogue leader, we're praying that they step in and fucking do something. And Costco is leading this fight. I mean, I'm grateful that they are. I'll take any fucking ally I can get. And I love Costco. But it shouldn't be fucking Costco's responsibility. It should be Congress. It should be. I can't talk about this. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Shout out to Costco. Everybody fucking hates tariffs, and yes, they are reading the room because Costco understands that if prices continue to go up, guess what? They're going to have to raise not only their prices, but also their membership costs as well. And that is also going to directly hurt their bottom line. But more importantly, Costco, as a company, prides themselves on maintaining some semblance of affordability. That is a hallmark of Costco's business plan. That is a hallmark of wholesalers in general. You pay a little bit, like $100 a year for a membership, I think it is, and you wind up saving multiple hundreds of dollars. So Costco's entire business model is jeopardized. And I don't want to come off as cynical by saying that, because it definitely does sound cynical. But they know that it's just worse off for everybody involved. And I'm glad that they're actually doing something fucking real about it instead of just posting. All right, they're bringing a fucking lawsuit to the Trump administration.